used to attend this old university in a small town. It had one of those giant, historic campuses, the kind with ancient buildings and endless underground tunnels. Right behind the main dorms, there was this abandoned hostel building, completely shut down after some accident years ago. No one talked about it, but I always felt like something was off. Every time I walked by, I'd hear weird creaking noises, like footsteps from inside, even though no one lived there anymore. One Friday night, curiosity got the best of me. I snuck in through a broken side door. The place was covered in dust and spider webs, paint peeling off the walls, broken furniture, shattered glass everywhere. Typical haunted building stuff. But on the second floor, there was something weird. A room 313. The door wasn't locked. Here's the thing, I checked the old building maps later. Room 313 didn't exist on paper. There was no mention of it. But that night, I saw it, clear as day. I opened the door and stepped inside. The room looked fresh, like someone had just been living there. Clean bed, working light bulb, even a desk. On that desk was a small leather-bound journal. I picked it up. It was covered in dust, but when I opened it, the words inside were fresh, like they were written just hours ago. First page said, "If you're reading this, get out right now, or you'll end up like me." Suddenly, I heard the door shut behind me. I turned around, but the knob wouldn't move. Then, I heard footsteps, but not from the hallway, from inside the room. The air got cold, freezing. I could see my breath. I flipped through the pages. The last entry said, Zion, 2014. That name sounded familiar. I looked it up the next day. Zion was a student who went missing from that hostel in 2014. Never found. I started to panic. The lights began to flicker. I turned back toward the corner of the room, and that's when I saw it. Something was crawling toward me, backwards, like a spider. But it had a human face. Its arms were bent the wrong way, eyes glowing faint yellow. It was smiling. Then it whispered, "I was invited too. Now it's your turn." The lights went out completely. I screamed, and that's the last thing I remember. When the lights went out, I remember screaming. Then, nothing. Just silence. I don't know how long I was out. Minutes, hours. But when I opened my eyes again, I was still inside room 313. Only, it wasn't the same anymore. Everything was older. Rotting walls, collapsed ceiling, moss on the floor. The clean room from before, gone. I stood up, confused, heart pounding. The desk was still there, but the diary was missing. Instead, something else sat on the table. A Polaroid photo. And it was me, unconscious on the floor, taken from above. I looked up. There was a hole in the ceiling, but no one was there. That's when I heard the voice again. "You stayed too long." I turned around and saw the door slowly opening, but instead of the hallway, it led to something else. A long, narrow tunnel, completely dark. Something told me I had no choice but to walk through. The air inside the tunnel felt heavy. The walls were covered in scratch marks, handprints, and what looked like dried blood. As I walked, I heard whispers, familiar ones. My mom's voice, my best friend's voice, saying things like, "You shouldn't have gone in there. You won't come back." I tried to turn around, but the tunnel behind me had vanished. Now there was only forward. Suddenly, I saw a figure ahead. It was Zion, standing, perfectly still. His face was pale, eyes sunken in, like he hadn't slept in years. He looked right at me and said, "It tricks you with what you want to see, and then it keeps you." He pointed behind me and whispered, "You're already part of it now." I blinked, and Zion was gone. Suddenly, I was back in the room again. Room 313. Same position, same desk. The photo was gone. The diary was back. I ran to the door, and this time it opened. I burst out and sprinted down the stairs, through the hall, and out the building. Fresh air hit me. I was outside, alive. But here's the thing. When I went back the next day with security, there was no room 313. The room skipped from 312 to 314, and the hallway I swore I ran down, bricked shut for years. I left the university after that, transferred out. But sometimes, when I'm alone in my room, I'll find a Polaroid on my desk of me, sleeping, and written on the back, "You never left." If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Something even darker is coming.